of the judges in this country. And earlier today, Caroline Leavitt, during that briefing, addressed it. She said this:
that the judges in this country are acting erroneously. We have judges who are acting as partisan activists from the bench. They are trying to dictate policy from the President of the United States. They are trying to clearly slow walk this administration's agenda, and it's unacceptable.
As she pointed out, these judges clearly trying to interfere with presidential duties, the job of the commander-in-chief, for example. Here with me to discuss this is the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Thomas Jipping. Tom, nice to have you back on the program. Really appreciate it. Look, so here's the question a lot of Americans have. How can a district judge in some district in Washington or Massachusetts or wherever, a single district judge, stop the President of the United States from doing his job, protecting the borders, deporting those here illegally, violent criminals? How can that happen? Is it constitutional? Is this the way it's supposed to work?
Well, keep in mind that these decisions so far have been temporary. In fact, the one that got a lot of attention involving the deportation of Venezuelan gang members, the judge's injunction said that it was only good for 14 days. These are temporary decisions because the judicial process involving the lawsuits against these executive orders has barely even begun. So judges are supposed to be very cautious about stopping policies from the executive branch or laws from the legislative branch before the judicial process itself has a chance to go forward. And that's what the debate is about. Are judges exceeding their powers at this point in litigation?
So let me ask you this. Chief Justice John Roberts weighed in and said, basically, I'm just giving you my peace of mind. And yet the Federalist pointed out on social media today that comment that he made, that statement that he released, was released to very left of center organizations, not to the Federalists, not to others. Is John Roberts being political here as well?
Well, I don't know anything about how the press office at the Supreme Court distributed his statement. I did not find it unusual that the Chief Justice defended the independence of his branch of government. I think the point he made that impeachment has been rarely used in the past, and it hasn't in the past been used to resolve a disagreement with a judge's decisions, and he was correct about that from a historical point of view. But, you know, his opinion on that doesn't matter. Impeachment is a process. If it's going to be used for the House, and if they impeach an individual, then the Senate has to try and find whether that person is guilty, and the Chief Justice doesn't have an opinion on that.
Yeah, Gerald Ford had an opinion on that many years ago. Impeachment's up to the political process, isn't it? And if somebody doesn't like it, you don't have to like it to be on the receiving end, but that's the process that's in place because of the Constitution, isn't it?
It is. Of course, those who do participate in it, the House on the impeachment side, the Senate on the trial side, I mean, they have a responsibility to do their part of it consistent with what impeachment as part of our system of government is designed to be. It can't just be a political weapon, as we saw with two impeachments of Donald Trump during his first term. We know what using impeachment to attack political opponents and all that is for, is what that looks like. So it shouldn't be used that way. But under the Constitution, the House is the sole power of impeachment, and the Senate has the sole power to finish that process with a trial.
Sure. Let's talk about the general premise, though, of justices and judges weighing in to impede, to stop, to cancel Donald Trump's agenda going forward, whatever it may be. Maybe it's border security, maybe it's the economy, could be a variety of different things, doesn't matter. But there is a great amount of concern certainly about the people that voted for Donald Trump, other people in government saying, now, wait a second, how can we have these district judges in far-flung places overrule the entire administration? And I saw it laid out there pretty well by Stephen Miller here the other day when he said, do you think a district judge in the state of Washington can dictate how we move soldiers on the battlefield? I thought it was a pretty good illustration of how much overreach that they're dealing with. But I guess this is all they have left on the left, correct?
Well, it's not unusual for the left, more often than the right, but the right as well, to go to the courts to try to achieve political objectives. There's two issues here. One is judges may issue injunctions. That's provided for in the law, but there are specific criteria for that. The bigger issue is how far an injunction should reach. You know, a district judge, let's say here in the Eastern District of Virginia, well, his jurisdiction is the Eastern District of Virginia. And judges are increasingly going nationwide. They're issuing universal injunctions from their little corner of the country. And those are very controversial.
And
those are the kind of injunctions that are being issued now.
Right, but the question that people are asking is, okay, you just explained to me it's not normal. This is not the way things have been in the past. Judges in courts like precedent a lot. They like precedent. So this is setting a new precedent on what these district judges can do. And my question to you, is it judicially appropriate?
It's not setting a new precedent. Judges have issued injunctions for a long, long time, and they've issued nationwide injunctions for quite a while, but they have to meet certain specific criteria because it is an unusual thing for a judge to step in early in the litigation and put on hold a law or an executive order that hasn't even been found to be unlawful. So it's supposed to be rare, but it has been used for quite a while. The question is, in these cases, whether these orders meet those specific criteria and whether they should be local rather than national. And I think that on that second question, national injunctions are a huge problem, and more often than not, they exceed a judge's authority.
Well, and let me ask about a couple of specific examples. Ordering the federal government to rehire people that have been released from their jobs who had not even gotten through the probationary period. They're in the process, this administration, of reducing the cost of government. One of the ways to do that, obviously, is to reduce personnel, offering buyouts or putting them on, administrative leave or terminating their jobs. This is one example where a judge comes back and says, no, you must go and rehire those people and bring them back on board. Another place of concern, USAID, where the judge is ordering the administration to make payments when they want to take these programs out of service. Does the administrative branch have the right to run the executive branch have the right to run the executive branch? Because it seems that the judiciary wants to run the executive branch in addition to its own.
Well, of course, the Constitution in Article 2 gives the executive power to the president, and we believe in certainly a strong executive branch and the power of the president to run his branch of government. Of course, every branch has to comply with certain kinds of legal, constitutional, or due process type of limitations. But the questions here are these judges going too far? I read the opinion of the judge issued yesterday regarding the exclusion of transgender people from the military. And I got to tell you, in 79 pages, almost half of it was just a discussion of policy where the judge plainly disagreed with what Trump put in his executive order, but none of that is relevant to a judge's authority to put on hold something that the president has authority to do.
Then why would it be put in there? Unless you're an activist judge, to me, Thomas, there would be no reason to put that in there except to try to justify your position when you're overstepping. And you're right, a lot of these decrees, these orders are temporary, but they are handicaps, and they delay the process and maybe the ultimate outcome. And it seems to me that it's being done for the specific reason to obstruct a political agenda that was voted on by 77.5 million Americans. Yeah. Your thoughts?
Well, it's too tempting. These injunctions are too tempting to use in place of the full judicial process that includes a lot of other elements. These judges are too quick to issue them. They're too broad when they do. And I think that your observation is one of the reasons why I expect when these injunctions are appealed, more often than not, they're going to be reversed because they're simply policy judgments masquerading as legal rulings.
Do you have faith in Chief Justice John Roberts that he will vote in favor of the executive having the free reign to run his division of government? There are three co-equal branches. It doesn't mean the judiciary can interfere with the executive or the executive can interfere with the legislative. It is a co-equal branch of government. What do you expect?
Well, if by free reign you mean no limits at all, none of the branches have free reign.
I didn't mean that.
When a case comes before the Supreme Court raising these issues, it's going to be based on specific facts and frame the issues in a particular way. My understanding is that the Chief Justice, in cases that involve the separation of powers, has been protective of the separation. Remember, a congressional committee tried to get Trump's tax records, and that went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, you're the legislative branch. You don't have this unlimited power to investigate anybody you don't like. So I think that's generally the Chief Justice's leaning when it comes to the separation of powers. We certainly do need to strengthen that as a core part of our system of government. The lines have become too blurred.
Sure. Now, as a general rule, I shy away from, me personally, of making any predictions about what a court's going to rule on any particular case. You can have indications, you can feel strongly, but I always stop short of predicting what the court may or may do in any given circumstance, including the Supreme Court, of course. But what I'm not worried about making this prediction. I think this is what we're going to see for the next 4 years with Donald Trump. Every time he makes a decision, he's going to be blunted by a lawsuit or an organization, be it the ACLU or pick your organization that's going to continue to hound him in the courts. I don't think that's much of a prediction. Thomas, I'll give you the last word.
Death and taxes are certain, and that probably is too. I think that these injunctions and the nationwide injunctions, again, are just too tempting. You're going to have judges, and everybody knows where the liberal judges are. Forum shopping is a practiced art in the legal profession, and so they'll go find a judge somewhere, somehow, to issue some kind of a national edict that then has to be overturned. This is many times a misuse of our courts rather than the political process to make these decisions.
Yeah, they shop in the D.C. circuit whenever possible. From the Heritage Foundation, Thomas Chipping, I greatly appreciate your time here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, after the break, the White House held a press briefing today, as we talked about, where Secretary Caroline Leavitt addressed the media on a number of ongoing issues. Stay tuned. We'll have a man that was in the room for that straight ahead on America's Voice Live. right. As we discussed before, the White House held a press briefing today where a number of topics were discussed, from the stranded astronauts returning home to the war in Ukraine, and the judge, as we're talking about, who's attempting to halt executive orders. Caroline Leavitt had more to say about the judges. Listen to this.
And I would just like to point out that the judge in this case is essentially trying to say that the president doesn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists from our American soil. That is an egregious abuse of the bench. This judge does not have that authority. It is the opinion of this White House and of this administration, and that's why we're fighting this in court.
And as I just discussed with Thomas Jippings, they're fighting in court every step of the way. Here with me to discuss this, a man who was there himself, Real America's Voice Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn. Brian, top of the afternoon to you. Looks like a nice day in D.C. and another eventful day in the briefing.
Yeah, it was a crowded briefing room, as you can imagine. All the news that's going on right now, everything from the negotiations with Putin and President Trump to even Gaza and Israel. And then, of course, these rogue judges. You know, it's kind of like your local community librarian dictating policy in a state. Like, there's just absolutely no precedence to that happening. And, of course, the Trump team putting out the message that they're going to challenge us in court and make sure that we get these, wait for it, hardened cartel gang drug dealers out of this country. Oh, Steve, we're to a point where we're actually defending criminals. To think that the media and many Democrats are trying to block that, it's unreal. Yeah.
You know, I heard you earlier on Sunrise here on Real America's Voice, and you were echoing some things that I've been saying, well, for the last few weeks when I talked to them about the folks on Sunrise with it yesterday, and that is, what do Democrats stand for today? Do they stand for these rogue judges? Do they stand for open borders? Do they stand for higher taxes? What do they stand for? They want to jeer Elon Musk when he just rescued 2 American astronauts. They want to. I'm in Las Vegas at the moment, and I know they set a dealership on fire here worse than some others. So these activists want to attack Elon Musk because he wants to go after waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, if you're a Democrat today, what do you stand for?
It's a good question. I know they need to turn the TV on and realize that their opinion, their favorability poll is way down. So the American people that are watching this play out, they're not connecting with you. You got people in Congress. Think about this. You got Jasmine Crockett. You got Jamie Raskin. You got some other characters that are absolutely turning these hearings into a romper room with their antics. I'll call them the theater kids gone wild. I don't know what they stand for, but right now, President Trump and their administration stands for law and order, secure borders, ending foreign wars, getting our economy back in gear. That's what they stand for. But Steve, you're absolutely right. The American people have no idea what they stand for. Maybe they're even looking for AOC to be the point person on this. God bless her, and God bless these elections coming up. If that happens, I think we'll be building a stage right down from my right to inaugurate the next Republican president, because they're not connecting.
Yeah, I think Jasmine Crockett is a great voice for the Democrats as well. I mean, who can stand there with a straight face and say, I want to bring back Tren de Aragua. I want MS-13 brought back. I want those planes turned around. I want them in my neighborhood. Look, these people don't have these gangs in their neighborhood. They don't live in Aurora in the apartment buildings taken over by Tren de Aragua, one of the most notorious gangs in the world, if not the most, from Venezuela. Violent prison gang is what they are. People, if you don't know what the background on Tren de Aragua, they are a prison gang from Venezuela. And when Donald Trump said they're coming here from prisons and mental institutions and the worst of the worst, he got mocked for that, Brian. He was exactly right about all of that.
Yeah, he was exactly right. Trump was right about that. And to think the people that would mock the fact that only 40 pounds of fentanyl came across our northern border in Canada, that's just 40 pounds. You tell that to the people that have lost their loved one to a fentanyl overdose of some sort. You tell that to the people that were raped, murdered, and abused by these criminals. There's no tolerance for it here. President Trump is staying strong. But to get back to that first question, what do the Democrats stand for? That's a great question.
It's a great question that I don't think anybody has an answer for. Look, they're on the wrong side of 80-20 issues, Brian. You see it every day. And I also see some of your colleagues there in the briefing room that are clearly on that same side of the street. And it's like, guys, you're on the wrong side of 80-20 issues. And these correspondents that try to act like, well, I don't have an agenda. Of course you do. It's there for the American people to see. So when you see Democrats with a 27% approval rating and 7% strongly approve of the Democrats, I think their counterparts in the media at MSNBC and CNN and elsewhere might fare even worse. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. To think that there's people in this briefing room, Steve, that have families, they have young kids, they live in the suburbs, they live in communities that could be affected by all this violence, for them to sit there and challenge and ask very difficult questions of almost wanting the judge to block these deportations. I think they need to have a good, strong look in the mirror and ask themselves, are they really truly asking the questions that's in the best interest of Americans? Are they listening to a news producer in their ear or 30 minutes early on an email telling them to do this? That the mainstream media is disconnected.
Yeah.
Democrats are disconnected, and they've got an identity problem right now.
There you have it, Brian Glenn, live from the lawn of the White House there. Brian, greatly appreciates your insights as always. As you've noticed, Donald Trump comes to Brian almost every time now, Brian. You become a favorite of the president, so congratulations on that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we're the pool tomorrow,
All
so
right.
Stay tuned for that. We're the pool.
There you go. Coming up after the break tomorrow, by the pool, he means one camera from each network, or one camera from all the networks in there for these big events. And Real America's Voice is the pool camera tomorrow. Another breakthrough moment. Well, now that the government is funded until the end of the fiscal year, it's time to focus on congressional spring agendas. We'll get to that next. now that the government is funded and the continuing resolution has passed, it's vital that Congress can now pivot to supercharge the economy with good fiscal and energy policies, of course. The spring agenda should be pretty clear for Congress at this point. Pass the White House budget. Pass a pro-growth tax bill, slash the debt with smart spending cuts while improving the opportunity for American taxpayers to go farther and do more. It all goes back to President Trump's announcement of one big, beautiful bill that includes all of the top economic priorities. Here with me to discuss this is the Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. Brandon, nice to see you here again today. Listen, if the president can stay on track and those on the left don't drag every decision into a courtroom, we can get some things done here. Reconciliation, one big, beautiful bill. What are you hoping for? Because there's the possibility there could be two. It depends on who you ask, but there could be two reconciliation bills in a single year. He'd like to get as much of it done in one as possible. Give me your wish list. Brandon, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, my first wish list is that they start moving in Congress rather than sitting on their hands. We've waited too long already for these bills to start to move. We took a big step in the House just a few weeks ago when they passed a budget that opens up the door to this process. But as is the case far too often, things are moving pretty slowly in the Senate. And I get it. They want to make sure that they have the sentiment of all the senators from all over the ideological spectrum in the Republican conference over there. But at the end of the day, we need to pass, first and foremost, a tax bill that supercharges the economy, as you put it. I think that's absolutely critical. We've already seen a little bit of shakiness in markets. We need to start driving down prices. We need to start trimming away at the size of government. And we need to make sure that Americans aren't going to face a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase at the end of next year. The time to move is pretty much now.
The time to move is pretty much now, Brandon. I accept that sentiment. When you look at tax policy, and of course we want to extend the Trump tax cuts of 2017 and make them permanent, but tax policy long term, I see a lot of states, New Hampshire being the latest, I believe, on the 1st of January went to a zero tax, no income tax in the state of New Hampshire. I think that becomes state number 8. And you see these states like Tennessee and Florida, now New Hampshire, we'll see where they are in a year or two. But you know what the result is. We've seen this play out before. The lower the taxes, the more economic activity, and then the larger the tax revenue for the state or the county or whomever lowers taxes. We've seen this from John Kennedy, we've seen it with Ronald Reagan, and we'll see it again now, won't we?
Oh, absolutely. You see where people are moving right now. They're voting with their feet. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to low tax states like North Carolina and Arizona. All because, not all because, but largely because of the tax climate there, the regulatory climate, the fact that these states can be run with a relatively low level of spending and certainly low level of taxation. So we need to emulate that for the federal government, driving down tax rates the best we can, making the government smaller. We've started to see some progress there from DOGE, but it's time for Congress to participate in this heavy lift here because those cuts, as you allude to, could be struck down by courts. The way to get around that, of course, is to have Congress enact some of these cuts as statutes, have the president sign them into law, and then courts are by and large going to be unable to overturn them.
You know, I know this might not be exactly your side of the street, but I know you pay attention to this. And I just saw an announcement just before we came on today of this major furniture manufacturer leaving British Columbia and coming to the United States because of tariffs. Saying, well, we can't compete and most of our market is in America. We're bringing our factory to the United States. So when you look at tax policy, hard to divorce that from tariff policy. And tariffs, you know, are a tool, not a long-term solution, I don't believe, but it does elicit change from our trading partners, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And we're still working through this tariff situation for sure. I'm a fan of low tariffs. I do agree that we need to drive down tariffs abroad. We need to open up markets for United States manufacturers, our producers. We make some of the best stuff on the planet. And for countries to block us out of their markets, I think is completely inappropriate. So let's use tariffs to the extent that we need to for I think for that isolated purpose. I don't think we can reinvent the United States economy that way. I think the best way to do that is really good tax policy. We were pretty close to the mark in 2017. Now we need to build on that success to make sure we're incentivizing manufacturers to come here, to stay here, to grow here, and to create a lot of jobs along the way.
Targeted tariffs with specific goals in mind, they seem to work. Yeah, broad-based tariffs probably not as effective. Brandon Arnold, always appreciate you being here from the National Taxpayers Union. Brandon, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat's already sinking. You don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs again today. It's not too late for you, too. The company I trust to help you diversify into physical gold is Birch Gold. The company I buy my gold from, Birch Gold, specializes in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA and physical gold for no money out of pocket. Just listen to this 5-star review quote: knowledgeable, helpful, non-pressure. Now that's what you get with Birch Gold, and that's why I've endorsed them for so very long. Get your free information kit on gold by texting the word America to the number 989898. There is no obligation, just useful information. And with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, text America to 989898. Let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold. Up after the break, universities are now starting to claim they are sanctuary campuses. This won't end well. Now will it? We'll talk about the insanity after the break. Well, American University's student body has passed a referendum now advocating for stronger protections for illegal alien students, including urging the university to declare itself a sanctuary campus. The resolution calls on the university to shield the identities of undocumented students from federal authorities and to prohibit ICE from entering campus unless presented with a judicial warrant. The measure, which passed earlier in March, reflects growing student activism on immigration policy. Joining now to discuss is campus reform correspondent and a student at Old Dominion University, Virginia Grace McKinnon. Virginia, thank you for being here. I guess the university would be the latest to say the rules don't apply to us. We'll do as we please. Well, I just saw a university get, I think it was University of Pennsylvania, just lost $275 million in federal funding. How long will these universities stand on principle when their bank accounts start to drain?
I'm not sure. I don't think they have much time if that funding is in jeopardy. So American Universities Student Government Association has passed a referendum requesting that their campus be a sanctuary campus, protecting illegal immigrants over the safety of American citizens. Now, this is a trend in higher education that we're seeing across the country, as you mentioned. And the American population just doesn't agree with this. The Leadership Institute Campus Reform were reporting on this, as well as a professor in North Carolina College has openly defended the Laken Riley Act, deeming it unsafe for illegal immigrants on their college campus, when in reality it is protecting American citizen safety. So higher education is completely out of touch with the rest of America. Polls are showing that a majority of Americans support President Trump in his actions to deport illegal criminal immigrants from our country and from our campus.
Yeah. So how is it at your school? I mean, do kids there really believe that somebody here illegally should have the opportunity to come here, get a free education, not be accountable to the laws? What is the, I mean, and look, there's probably some mixed feelings there about somebody, a nice kid, but he's here illegally. I mean, how does this all balance out, I guess is what I'm asking you.
On my campus, students do support this. Students are supporting illegal immigrants, getting free tuition, getting in-state tuition, and all students are agreeing with this, yes.
Yeah. So how does it strike you? I mean, here's a kid who comes in from some other country, gets free everything, basically. Let's be clear about this. They get all sorts of free stuff, bucket loads of free stuff. Was your education free? Was everything free to you, Virginia?
No, my education was not free. I pay for my own tuition, and I work hard for it. And these students, these illegal immigrants coming onto our college campuses, are not having to work hard for it. The schools are protecting them, and so I think it is completely unfair. Immigration enforcement is common sense. These immigrants are crossing our border illegally, committing crimes, and these crimes are preventable. These crimes wouldn't have happened. These people shouldn't be here in the first place.
So has there been any change? I don't know how long you've been at Old Dominion. Let's see, you've been there a couple of years or whatever. Has there been any change of opinion? Because I saw college kids in North Carolina and elsewhere that were raising the American flag, tearing down the flag of Ukraine and Mexico or wherever they might have been from, or Palestinian flags getting torn down, because kids at some universities have had enough. They've had their fill, and people like Charlie Kirk have done a remarkable job of penetrating into these younger groups of students to say, look, here's where you're wrong and here's why you're wrong. And they seem to accept it. They seem to understand. Has there been a shift at all at places like where you go to school or to other students and people that you know?
Well, we are seeing a shift in states and campuses. The University of Georgia, where Laken Riley went to school, has pledged $1.7 million to ensure campus security. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida has eliminated in-state tuition for these illegal immigrants in the state of Florida. So I do think we are seeing a push. There are people going in the right direction, but we need to keep talking about it because it's still a problem, and there are still people supporting and prioritizing illegal immigrants over the safety of American citizens on college campuses.
Yeah, sad, isn't it? Virginia, I greatly appreciate you being here. I hope that these kids can come. I mean, look, Donald Trump moved the needle with people in your demographic, in your age bracket, in your generation. So maybe some common sense is seeking in, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll have you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Don't go anywhere on this Wednesday. America's Voice Live will continue after a short break.
Has been a real blessing. I love CarShield. It is my lifeline.
Our life as nurses, we just step up and we help people, and it's really nice when somebody steps up and helped us. If our car breaks down, CarShield administrators have our back.
If your car's out of warranty, it's not a matter of if it'll break down, but when. Call CarShield before it's too late and protect yourself from expensive car repairs.
CarShield is ready to help year-round nationwide with thousands of vetted shops to choose from, or their concierge service to help you find a mechanic near you. Unlike other companies, they don't just send you to the cheapest place in town. I trust CarShield, and so should you.
I have filed a total of over 5 claims, and my price from when I signed up never went up. And with the age of my car, that is security.
CarShield is a U.S. company supporting hardworking Americans save over $1 billion in expensive auto repair costs. More of us are keeping our cars for longer, so give CarShield a call now before a breakdown happens. Call now.
Call CarShield now before a breakdown and see how they're saving drivers money on covered auto repairs. Call 800-635-5126. 800-635-5126.
It's the Stackable Savings Sale at Cabinets to Go.
Come in today for cabinets, countertops, accessories, installation, and more. And start enjoying your dream kitchen for as little as $143 per month. Don't wait. The Stackable Savings Sale ends soon.
Cabinets to Go. Wow for less.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
All right, welcome back to America's Voice Live. It's everyone's favorite time of the year. That's right, it's tax season. I hate it myself. But it is imperative that you protect yourself and your family from the IRS if you owe any back taxes or haven't filed yet. And that's why here at Real America's Voice, we recommend going to the experts at Tax Network USA with all of your tax needs. They've helped thousands of clients, and they've saved over $1 billion in tax debt as they can help you as well. Here with me to discuss more about their services at Tax Network USA, spokesperson Cameron Kinsey. Cameron, nice to see you again. Look, the clock is winding down. It's not very long now until April 15th is here. So for the folks that don't know, tell us a little bit about Tax Network USA and the services that you provide.
Yes, well, thank you so much again for having me on, Steve. It's good to see you. So for our audience who doesn't know what Tax Network USA is, we're a team of experienced tax professionals. We have CPAs, we have enrolled agents, tax attorneys who really just specialize in helping individuals like our audience and businesses resolve IRS issues, state tax issues, things of that nature. We handle anything from tax relief to IRS negotiation, basically acting like a liaison between you and the IRS so you don't have to wait on hold for hours. And we do have established relationships with the IRS agents as well. So we can do audit defense, tax preparation. Really, our mission is just to help hardworking Americans.
Yeah, give me an idea, Cameron, the range of clients you work with. I mean, some folks, I hear this. I can't even believe I hear things like this. I haven't paid my taxes in 5 years. I'm like, really? Do you not like your house, your car, the place you live? It makes me wonder what they're thinking. Okay, but give me the range of the clients and the folks you normally work with.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We've seen everything, like just what you said. We work with everyday Americans, business owners. We've helped self-employed individuals as well, retirees, W-2 employees, anybody who's really just found themselves in trouble with the IRS. I mean, whether somebody owes back taxes, is facing an audit, needs expert guidance just to get their finances in order as well. We've stepped in and we've helped cases like that. We've also represented high-profile clients and high-profile businesses. But really, just at the end of the day, our goal remains the same with each individual and each individual business. We just want to protect people from the IRS overreach that we've seen for the past 4 years under the Biden-Harris administration, and also just through financial hardship as well.
Yeah, well, let's do some counseling here, shall we? What advice would you give to someone who is struggling with tax debt or is just trying to ignore it, pretending it's not there? Oh, if I just ignore it, it'll go away. The letters will stop coming. No, they won't. What's your advice?
No, I agree, Steve. That's exactly what I was going to say. Don't ignore the problem. The worst thing that you can do is avoid those IRS letters, like you said, because the penalties and interest can stack up quickly. I know that it may seem like you can avoid it now that we have new leadership that's focusing way more or less on regulations, especially with the IRS giving the hiring freeze and laying off a bunch of IRS agents as well. But really the worst thing you can do is avoid it. I would just take action immediately, even if that means filing early. The IRS isn't going away overnight, but you do have rights. There are legal options available to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. And that's really where we come in at Tax Network USA. Our team fights to negotiate these settlements, to stop wage garnishments and lift bank levies, really often reducing what people owe significantly. But timing is everything. Like you said, it's ramping up come April. So the sooner you reach out, the better the outcome.
All right, real quickly then, how long does the process take from people getting involved, and then what can they do to get started? Give me one example of a successful mediation. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the complexity of your case. Some issues like penalty abatement or setting up an installment agreement, that can be resolved in a matter of weeks for us, but really more complicated cases such as offers in compromise, settlements, or IRS appeals, those can take several weeks to a month, just depending on the government processing times with that. However, really from the moment we step in, we handle all communication with the IRS, like I said, but we've helped individuals six-figure tax debts for just a fraction of what they owed. One recent case actually involved a business owner who was drowning in $300,000 worth of tax debt due to payroll issues that they didn't even know that they had. The IRS was on the verge of shutting down his company. Our team negotiated an offer in compromise, and he ended up settling for just over $20,000. We had another case involving a single mom who had her wages garnished over a tax bill she didn't even know that she had as well. We stepped in, we got the garnishment release, we negotiated a fair resolution with the IRS on her behalf. So really every case is different, Steve, but really just the key is knowing the system, knowing the IRS agents like we do, and fighting for every single legal advantage that you have.
Cameron, thank you so much for being here as always. And if this sounds like something you need to take care of, don't wait. Go to tnusa.com. tnusa.com, or you can call 1-800-905-8000. Cameron Kinsey, always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Again, tnusa.com, or call 1-800-905-8000. When we come back, Stephen Miller was taking questions. We'll see if we can catch up with him outside the White House in a moment.
If anyone has told you that gaining weight, feeling tired, and joint issues is just a part of getting older, they are wrong. My name is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and I found a new way to support my health. It's called BioComplete 3. BioComplete 3 works by restoring your gut health from the inside out. This is working for everybody.
I was 270. I'm now 140. It just feels amazing.
You can try BioComplete 3 risk-free for 90 days. Go to guthealthsecret.com.
Are you sitting right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being, no matter where you are. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Sitting too long isn't just uncomfortable, it's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
From soothing babies to helping with posture, back pain, and stress, we discovered that rocking can truly improve lives.
Sitting is the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body to just stay in that same position. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion constantly keeps you active and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It actually releases endorphins in the brain. It's a mood booster.
I used to be in pain all the time, but with Ready Rocker, I felt relief, and I'm in a better mood. I take it everywhere.
I can literally feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking.
My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Now you can join the movement that's changing lives and helping thousands find relief. Call now or go online to get 35% off your purchase. We'll even ship it for free. Plus, you'll get this bonus canvas tote bag.
Ready Rocker is changing lives one rock at a time.
Now it's your turn to experience the relief for yourself.
Call 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. That's 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. Call now.
Welcome back. The White House Deputy Chief of Staff, the always colorful, always interesting Stephen Miller, taking questions outside the White House. Listen to this.
I know you've said that everyone who was deported was either a gang member or violent criminal in Venezuela, but we've learned of at least one man who has no criminal record here in the U.S. according to his deportation orders, and he had no criminal record in Venezuela either. So why do you think someone like that should be sent to a maximum security
I'm sorry,
prison?
I'm confused by the question. Is it your position that a member of Tren de Aragua who is in our United States illegally should be allowed to commit crimes limitlessly until such time as that individual is incarcerated, that it should be open season on Americans, that TDAs come in, it's like ISIS coming into your country, or Al-Qaeda coming into your country, and that you let them stay here, catch and release, catch and release, catch and release, and then eventually, only after they've served some prison time in America, they get sent out. Our job is to send the terrorists out before anyone else gets raped or murdered. Other questions?
The protest outside the White House last night featured Palestinian flags, but also I saw Hamas flags flying outside the White House. Does this administration believe that the flying of these flags could be a national security risk outside the White House?
Well, I'll reframe the question to just say that the administration continues to take the view that any foreign nationals who are visiting our country are prohibited from supporting any designated terrorist organization, such as Hamas. Any other questions?
Is President Trump still calling for the impeachment of Judge Boasberg in this case, despite what Chief Justice Roberts said yesterday?
Of course the president stands by his comments, absolutely, as do we all, as does the entire administration. You cannot have a democracy where single individual district court judges can assume the full total powers of the commander-in-chief. Even on the Supreme Court, it takes agreement of 5 Supreme Court justices to change a federal policy. 5. A single district court judge out of 700 cannot set policy for the entire nation, let alone on national security and public safety issues. The president has been clear that he has tremendous respect for Justice Roberts and believes it's essential the Supreme Court crack down and stop this assault on our democracy from these radical rogue judges that are usurping the powers of the presidency and laying waste to our entire constitutional system. Last question.
Can you explain more on the Democrat terrorism issue of the Teslas being destroyed? Can you explain more on the issue of the Teslas?
Yeah, the president strongly condemns left-wing domestic terrorism in the clearest and most forceful terms we possibly can. Yes,
Just quickly, 2 things. I think what she was trying to say was that, not arguing that there were TDA members on the plane, but there were other people. Is there going to be other evidence shown from the administration that they're
all trained to Aragua? And again, let me give a concrete example of this just to illustrate the principle. Let's say that you have a family living in a neighborhood. Next to them, they have little children. Next to them is a trained Aragua gang member who, as a document of the proclamation, are sent here by a hostile regime and is the most violent, ruthless, criminal terrorist organization in the Western Hemisphere. So, do our counterterrorism officers arrest and remove the terrorist? Or do we say, we'll leave you there, you can rape and murder the people next to you, and then after you rape and murder them, and then only then will we remove you? We're not going to let anyone get raped or let anyone get murdered by terrorists.
This is not a ruling or a judgment. It is a stay. It's on the record as a stay.
You know what I really appreciate, and I think a lot of the American people appreciate as well, as Stephen Miller makes his way back to his office wherever he's going. I think what a lot of people appreciate about this administration is that they see the boss, Donald Trump, out there. He takes questions all the time. Big, long interview last night on Fox with Laura Ingraham. Just another day and another long interview. Cheryl Atkinson the day before that. He takes questions, and his people take questions. And they answer important questions about what's going on with this, and they are so good at deflecting the garbage questions. Yeah, I'm not going to deal with that. Stephen Miller, always fascinating to say the least. Really appreciate you spending this Wednesday with us here on Real America's Voice. Always appreciate you being here. Make sure you follow us on all the social media platforms. We appreciate when you do. Find me, follow me too if you feel like it. Greatly appreciate that. And we will continue to have you all the latest news here on Real America's Voice today. And I'll see you tomorrow for America's Voice Live. Have a great afternoon.
Hello, Americans. Pat Boone here. You know, the markets are getting a little crazy, and now is the time to protect yourself from economic turmoil. Silver is in the headlines and creating a lot of excitement as the price of silver is very attractive compared to that of gold, of course. Call Swiss America for the scoop on whether this silver opportunity is for real. See, today, silver faces a huge shortage due to rising demand by military, solar, and electric cars, which all depend on silver and can increase prices. So, to help you get started, Swiss America is offering beautiful United States walking Liberty half dollars, minted from 1916 to 1947, in 90% silver for a special introductory price. Limit of $250 per customer while supplies last, of course. So call or text the number on your screen to take advantage of this offer. Rediscover silver today.
The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
It's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Hey, Real America's Voice family.
Are you on Getter yet? No?
What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored, and it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec.
And so many more.
And the best part?
You can watch Real America's Voice right there on Getter.
Live.